Christopher Nolan once revealed the correct answer to Inception's mysterious ending, but it's probably not what you're thinking. Inception turned 15 years old this month, so here are some things I bet you never knew about it. Christopher Nolan first came up with the idea for Inception in 2001. He said he was influenced by The Matrix, Dark City, and The 13th Floor. Quote, they were based in the principles that the world around you might not be real. While some critics have also pointed out the film's similarities to the anime Paprika, though Nolan has never openly admitted to drawing from that film. The director originally envisioned Inception as a horror film about dream stealers, based on the phenomenon of lucid dreaming, where you can control your dreams. He started with an 80-page treatment before expanding it into a full screenplay. Coming off Memento in 2000, he pitched Inception to Warner Brothers in 2001, but then he withdrew it when he realized he needed experience making bigger movies, because he knew he'd have to ask for a huge budget. As he later explained, as soon as you're talking about dreams, the potential of the human mind is infinite, and so the scale of the film has to feel infinite. So, over the next decade, Nolan kept putting it off while doing other things. He continued working on the script, which eventually evolved into being a science fiction heist movie, and he got the experience he needed on Batman Begins, The Prestige, and The Dark Knight. In 2008, he finally felt like he was ready, so he spent 6 months finishing Inception's script. He said the screenplay finally clicked into place when he came up with people sharing the same dream. Quote, once you remove the privacy, you've created an infinite number of alternate universes. Nolan had built a strong relationship with Warner Brothers over the decade, and so in February 2009, the studio came on board. Nolan's first choice for the lead was Brad Pitt, but he turned it down. His second choice was then Will Smith, who said no because he didn't get it. So finally, Nolan went out to Leonardo DiCaprio. Nolan had wanted to work with Leo for years, and the actor finally said yes because he was intrigued by this concept, this dream heist notion, and how this character is going to unlock his dream world and ultimately affect his real life. Nolan then reworked the script to satisfy DiCaprio's intentions, and he made sure that the emotional journey of his character was the driving force of the movie. Nolan wrote the part of Saito with Ken Watanabe in mind, wanting to work with him again after Batman Begins, and this is the first time Watanabe performed entirely in English in a contemporary film. James Franco was originally in talks to play Arthur. When he dropped out due to scheduling conflicts, Joseph Gordon-Levitt got the part. Nolan cast Elliot Page as Ariadne because they had the perfect combination of freshness and savvy and maturity beyond their years. The name Ariadne references the princess of Greek mythology who gives Theseus a sword and a ball of string when he enters the labyrinth. Cillian Murphy plays the spoiled heir to a business empire, and so he researched Rupert Murdoch's sons to aid with his performance. Warner Brothers set the budget at $160 million, and production began in Tokyo on June 19, 2009, for the scenes where Saito hires Cobb in a helicopter flight over the city. Production then moved to the UK and shot in a converted airship hangar in Cardington, Bedfordshire, north of London. That's where they built the hotel bar set, which could tilt 30 degrees, as well as the famous hotel corridor set, which rotated a full 360 degrees. That hallway was only supposed to be 40 feet long, but as its action sequence grew in scale, they needed to make it 100 feet total. The set was suspended with 8 large concentric rings, spaced equally outside the walls, which were powered by 2 huge electric motors. Joseph Gordon-Levitt spent several weeks learning the hallway fight choreography, and he got bumped around a lot. As he told Details magazine, it was 6-day weeks of just like coming home at night battered. Nolan was thrilled though with how the hallway scene came out. He told the LA Times, it was just like some incredible torture device. We thrashed Joseph for weeks, but in the end, we looked at the footage and it looks unlike anything any of us had seen before. When you watch it, even if you know how it was done, it confuses your perceptions. It's unsettling in a wonderful way. In July 2009, they shot the Paris Architecture School scenes on location at University College London. Filming then moved to the actual Paris, France, where they shot exteriors at the Musée Galeria, on the Bir Hakeim Bridge, and they created the famous sidewalk cafe at the corner of Rue César Franck and Rue Bouchou. Local authorities would not allow them to use real explosives for that scene, so high-pressured nitrogen tanks were used to create the effect of explosions. Cinematographer Wally Pfister used 6 high-speed cameras to capture the scene from different angles in slow motion. Digital effects were then used to add more destruction and flying debris. Likewise, the Paris folding scene was shot on location with green screen and enhanced with CGI. Speaking of Pfister and the movie's cinematography, they shot primarily on 35mm, with some scenes done on 65mm, and the aerial scenes were shot on VistaVision. Nolan opted not to shoot on IMAX cameras because they were too bulky at the time, and he wanted the movie to look as real and grounded as possible. For the slow motion shots, sometimes they would shoot up to 1,000 frames per second. The production then shot the Mombasa scenes in Tangier, Morocco, specifically in the historic Medina quarter. Then they moved to LA, where they shot on Warner Brothers sound stages, including the interior of Saito's castle. They also shot the car chase in downtown LA, runaway train and all. To achieve that train, they built a recreation of an engine car on a tractor trailer. The car chase was supposed to be in the rain, but it was sunny when they shot, so they used rooftop water cannons to make it look like it was raining. And they also shot the scene of the van running off the bridge in Los Angeles at the Schuyler High Prime Bridge. It was done on and off over a series of months, with the van being shot out of a cannon. The actors really were in the van when it was submerged in the water, and the performers had to be underwater for 4 to 5 minutes at a time, drawing air from scuba tanks. Other LA locations include Cobb's house in Pasadena, the hotel lobby was filmed at the CAA building in Century City, Limbo was shot on location in LA and Morocco, with the beach scene filmed at Palos Verdes Beach while the buildings were CGI. And then the last phase of production took place in Alberta, Canada in November 2009. They found a closed ski resort, Fortress Mountain, and built a set at the top of the chairlift, which took 3 months to construct. The ski chase was inspired by Nolan's favorite Bond film, On Her Majesty's Secret Service. The movie then wrapped production after 6 months and 6 different countries on November 22nd, 2009. As with all Nolan movies, he preferred practical effects to CGI where possible, so they built and blew up miniatures of the mountain fortress. Most contemporary blockbusters have up to 2,000 visual effect shots, but in the end, Inception only had about 500. Nolan hired Hans Zimmer to compose the score, which he did simultaneous to filming. 3D movies were very popular at the time thanks to Avatar, and Nolan considered converting the movie to 3D in post, but ultimately he didn't have time to get it to a place he was happy with. That said, the movie was upgraded for IMAX screens. Warner Brothers then spent an additional $100 million to market the movie. There was concern that the film would underperform because it wasn't part of a major franchise, but the WB's marketing chief Sue Kroll felt confident that Nolan and the cast would be enough to market the movie. Still, Warner Brothers built an elaborate ARG with online games and clues that revealed the movie's posters, trailers, and clips. Inception's trailers are credited for kicking off the brrrr trend in movie trailers. Soon, every movie trailer would have those big brassy sound effects. Inception opened on roughly 4,000 screens in North America on July 16th, 2010. It did $62.7 million opening weekend domestic, landing at number 1. It would go on to do $828 million total worldwide, which is a pretty big number for a wholly original movie, and more than 5 times its budget. It became the 6th biggest movie of 2010 domestic and the 4th biggest movie worldwide. It's also Leonardo DiCaprio's 2nd biggest movie ever, behind Titanic. The movie was also huge on home video. As of 2018, it sold more than 9 million units, grossing an additional $160 million. Audiences gave it a B+ cinema score in theater exit polls, but critics really liked Inception. 87% of the 367 reviews assessed by Rotten Tomatoes are positive. It made 273 critic top 10 lists, landing at number 1 on 55 of them. In 2014, Empire readers said it was the 10th greatest movie ever. In 2019, Total Film named it the best film of the 2010s. And in 2025, the New York Times named it number 55 on the top 100 movies of the 21st century. Yet, on the other hand, in 2014, the Daily Telegraph called it one of the 10 most overrated movies ever. Inception won 4 Oscars: Best Cinematography, Best Sound Editing, Best Sound Mixing, and Best Visual Effects. And it was nominated but lost 4 more: Best Picture, Best Original Screenplay, Best Art Direction, and Best Score. Inception has had a long-lasting legacy in pop culture. Blankception has become a catch-all phrase for anything with a nesting structure. The movie's been referenced in songs like Common's Blue Sky, NERD's Hypnotize You, Black Eyed Peas' Just Can't Get Enough, Lil Wayne's 6 Foot 7 Foot, and Jennifer Lopez's On the Floor. It's also showed up in the music video for Ariana Grande's No Tears Left to Cry, and Taylor Swift's lyric video for The Man. And it was parodied by South Park, Rick and Morty, and The Simpsons. Of course, a major part of its legacy has been the ambiguous ending. At the end of the film, we're not sure if Leo's character Cobb is dreaming or awake. The top wobbles slightly, but the image cuts before we can see if it falls over. This was of course done intentionally. In 2011, Nolan told Entertainment Weekly, "I've been asked the question more times than I've ever been asked any other question about any of my other films. What's funny to me is that people really do expect me to answer it." The reality is, it's not really about whether the top spins or falls. In 2023, Nolan credited his wife and producing partner Emma Thomas with finding the quote correct answer. It's Leo's character doesn't care at that point. Which echoes what Nolan said in 2011. The real point of the scene is that Cobb isn't looking at the top, he's looking at his kids, he's left it behind. That's the emotional significance of the thing. In late 2010, Nolan expressed interest in developing a video game set in the world of Inception, but it never came to be. And as far as we know, there have never been talks of a sequel or TV spinoff. Thanks for watching this video. If you've made it to the end, leave a blah in the comments. And if you want more movie news and deep dives, check out my newsletter.